I literally bought an M5 so I can hear this. I didn't buy an i5 so that everything was silent and it was quick. I bought an M5. Well, we removed the complication of the front axle intervening. You can basically just sit here and do this all day long. This is so good. G'day, I'm Paul. This is the new BMW M5, and there's quite a bit that's changed actually. So it's cheaper than the old one. It's $260,000, but unfortunately it's heavier, significantly heavier, and slower than the old one as well, which makes absolutely no sense to me. So the reason it is slower is because they've put a giant battery in here to meet all these ridiculous emissions regulations that we have out there at the moment. So today we're going to do a detailed review of this. If you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you've got time codes on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you can scroll down and use the chapters below. Now, design. Look, I'm a massive fan of the new 5 Series just in general. Looks really cool, but this color and just this spec, it looks so sinister, especially when, you know, you've got low lights, it's night or sort of dusk, and you just see this sort of driving around with that big grille that lights up there as well. Like, it is just a really cool looking design. So all your colors are free of charge. You do have to pay extra for the frozen colors, which is this matte finish they have on this vehicle here. All the cars in Australia also come with the Drive Professional pack, I think it's called, which is basically the extended top speed to over 300 kilometers an hour. This one's also got the carbon roof and optional carbon ceramic brakes as well. So down the front here, this design is shared amongst the fully electric i5 and also here the M5 as well. But you do have variances in terms of grille openings. So with the M5, because it needs a significant amount of cooling for the twin turbo V8 and for the hybrid system, you've got a lot of open gaps there for it to sort of attract as much air as it can. You've got to consider as well, this car is capable of doing over 300 kilometers an hour. So not only do you have to have cooling, but you have to have significant aero as well to maintain sort of downforce and give this the stability it needs at that speed, which is just insane stuff. Full LED matrix headlights, and then around the side here, run you through the tyre and wheel package. So staggered design, 20 and 21 inch. This has the optional carbon ceramic brakes, so 410mm rotor. It's cross drilled, 6-piston caliper at the front, and then a single piston caliper at the rear, also on a carbon ceramic rotor. More carbon over here on the wing mirror and on the roof as well, like I mentioned, so weight reduction on the roof too. So it all sort of helps, despite the fact the car is like 500 kilos heavier than the previous generation, but all that stuff sort of adds in. 5 Series, I like this design here with these door handles flush to the body. It's a really sort of cool looking, neat setup. M5 here on the Hofmeister kink. Around the back, carbon again here on that boot lip spoiler. M5 badge and these sort of piano black diffusers with some proper quad exhaust outlets and a sort of shark fin style aerial, well, a shark that was in a fight because the top's kind of cut off. So let me know what you reckon about the M5 design. Are you concerned about the weight, that it's slower, etc, etc, or does that not bother you? Are you just after like a plug-in hybrid performance car? Let me know what you reckon in the comment section below. Okay, so we're inside the M5. This is what the key looks like. You've got the BMW logo there for lock, unlock, boot, and you have a diamond there to flick the lights on and then just blank on the back. Proximity sensing key, so you can just grab the door handle and there's a big red start button once you hop inside. So let's talk about the design to start with. Things I don't like. Don't like all this piano black. It's kind of just everywhere here, and after spending a few days with the car, it's all pretty filthy, full of fingerprints and stuff like that. So, but outside of that, I do like the rest of this. I'm a big fan of technology, and BMW is really kicking a lot of goals at the moment on the tech front. So you've got these 2 enormous displays ahead of the driver. BMW's latest version of their operating system is excellent too. Like it really just has fixed all of the little bugs they had with the previous generations of this, and it just works really well. Also like the LED lighting game. All of this stuff lights up in just a really cool way. You've got the BMW M colors. They've really just gone for a theme and stuck with it here, and I think it works really well. So quite impressed with all of that. And of course, being a sort of BMW M product as well, you've got M switches up the top there and this M steering wheel as well. So all of that looks pretty good. Now, in terms of your touch points, so nice there on the center and decent on the door as well. How soft are those touch points? We've got our gyrometer. We've tested all the main surfaces in this cabin. So if you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, there is a link in the description below. Now, what about build quality? It is built like a battle tank. Really, it is just solid as a rock. This is what the door slam sounds like. Fortunately, no soft closed doors, which is a little bit disappointing. Infotainment time. So, screen ahead of the driver, 12.3-inch display. Center screen is almost 15 inches. It is an absolute whopper of a screen. So this is your home screen. This is kind of where you can configure where your cards sit and you can move those around as required. You have inbuilt satellite navigation. So, whoops, let me click on that again. It actually allows you to flick between CarPlay and the internal satellite navigation, which I think is a pretty good feature. You then have this where all of your apps sit, so you can sort of go through and start clicking on some of these. And look, it's actually a really good setup because depending on what you want to do, you have the ability to just go through and pick whichever thing you want. It's all sort of in this one menu, and then it sort of breaks it up into those two different functions as well. This is what Apple CarPlay looks like, so it's a wireless setup. Now, it is interesting. I think I've spoken previously about this CarPlay issue that I've been encountering in cars, and I'm fairly certain now that it's actually an Apple issue and not a hardware issue in these cars. And what it does is basically you'll be on a phone call and you'll all of a sudden get the thing lag for like a second. Then your phone call lags for a second, so you end up just talking over each other, and there just doesn't seem to be a fix for it. You have to basically just lock the car, get out of it, get back in and restart everything for it to actually fix itself. And then you'll find sometimes as well, if I have like Waze running, it'll just freeze for a second and then jump ahead to the next sort of waypoint. It's just I don't know, just a little side rant. Apple, I just don't know what they're doing at the moment. The phones are just so buggy, and yeah, I don't know. They need to get their stuff together urgently because it's starting to annoy me. Do you have these issues on your phone with wireless CarPlay? Let me know in the comments section below. You've also got Android Auto. I'll show you that in just a second. But first, sound system. You have an 18-speaker Bowers & Wilkins sound system that comes standard. AM, FM, DAB, digital radio. The sound system is fantastic. I'm a really big fan of that. And then in addition to that, Android Auto. I'll show you what that looks like. So full screen there as well. And really nice and sharp too. Excellent. Screen ahead of the driver, you've got a number of different customizations there, along with the head-up display that you navigate through on this right-hand side. It is interesting, BMW's gone down the path of kind of not letting you do much until the car is on. And every time you open the door, the car just switches off. So I don't know whether that's just an electric / plug-in hybrid thing, but a little bit annoying. I'd love to just be able to run the car on functions without having to start the car. But anyway, just a minor little gripe there. So I'll show you what the reverse camera looks like. I'm going to flick the car on. So there it is there. So because it's detected the suitcase, it's giving you that top-down view, but you can actually change that to sort of any number of other views that you want to change it to, which is good. And then you've also got a couple of interesting functions, and we've covered this before in previous videos, but being able to kind of revisit the reverse path that you took. If you get down a narrow street, you don't know how to get out of it, it will basically just retrace your steps, which I think is a really cool sort of setup. So yeah, a lot of cool functions here to work with, and they've really thought about everything, including cleaning the camera. All right, and this is what the horn sounds like. So moving on to practicality, and we'll start off with your connectivity. You've got wireless phone charging, 2 USB-C outlets. In the center console here, you've got a 12-volt outlet, tiny little center console. You can't really sort of store too much in there. And outside of that, you really don't have a great deal of storage around here. Glove box, sort of fairly reasonably sized there, and no sunglasses holder. In terms of your comfort, so you've got dual zone automatic climate control up the front here. You have heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel. The other thing worth noting as well, they're kind of hidden in all of the air vents. You don't really see them, but you control them here using these little, I don't even know what you'd call those, these roller things. So you can go left and right, up and down. But if you do want to control how much air is actually coming out, you've got these little sliders here that allow you to open and close it by varying degrees. So a little bit of complexity there, but I think it's a sort of different way to do things. In terms of the seats, have a look at this design. It is just outrageously out there, very red. M5 logo just here, and they hug you in beautifully. So they are very supportive seats to be sitting in. A litany of seat adjustments. So you can go forwards and backwards. You can move your backrest forwards and backwards. You can lift the front of the seat, the back of the seat. You can change your lumbar adjustment there. Pushing the seat button on the door here allows you to then further change things like the seat cushions at the front, side, backrest. Like, there's just so much you can actually change here, which is pretty cool. And you've got seat memory as well. Now, in terms of the steering wheel, it offers both tilt and reach adjustment electrically. And on our reach test, all of this stuff is fairly easy to reach while you're driving. So back seat, because of the wheelbase, just over 3 metres, which is pretty big for a sedan, you've actually got a decent amount of knee room. Toe room is reasonable, headroom is really good, and it's quite a comfy place to be seated, which is nice. So you have an extra 2 zones of climate control here, plus heated seats for the second row, USB-C ports, air vents, and then preparation, plus USB-C plus preparation for screens and holders here. Manual blinds, I would have thought on a top spec 5 series you'd expect to have electric blinds, but I guess it is what it is. Center armrest here, a couple of cup holders, and on our window test, we'll see if it goes all the way down. So it's auto up and down. Oh yes, very nice. So cargo space, what's it like? Given the car has grown, the car's longer, wider, taller, it's got a bigger wheelbase, it means you get more cargo space. So under 500 litres, but it's over 100 litres more than the previous generation. Ironically enough, it's also where you store all your cables, which kind of eats into the extra space that you get. Tyre repair kit in here as well, because you don't have a spare tyre, what it looks like with the bag in there. So not an enormous space, but it's a welcome addition over the previous generation of this. So before we go for a spin, let's talk about your battery and charging. So capacity of around 18 kilowatt hours. You only have AC charging. They have upgraded this though. It was only capable of doing about 7 kilowatts, but now you can do 11 kilowatts of 3-phase AC charging. Means that you're going to charge the battery in around 2 hours, which I think is pretty decent. That'll give you around 70 or so kilometers worth of driving range, as if you run it with the engine switched off. Okay, so we have just hit the road in the M5. I'm excited for this because every new generation of these hardcore BMW products signals new technology and just a new way of thinking and delivering more. In this instance, they've kind of done the opposite because they've gone backwards a step in terms of weight and acceleration to 100. So I'll be curious to see whether that sort of translates to the whole experience. Now, normally when we test these cars out, I don't spend a huge amount of time in them. I get to know them, drive them home, all that sort of stuff. This, I've spent a lot of time in it, and I feel like I've really gotten to know it quite well. What I haven't really done is gone too ballistic on it. I've just been driving it around as a daily, and I'll run you through my thoughts on that in a second, but let's begin with the drivetrain. So under the bonnet, you've got a 4.4 litre twin turbocharged petrol engine. So it's a V8, nice selection for this type of vehicle. 430 kilowatts of power, 750 newton meters of torque. It's different to the previous generation of this V8, and it's kind of akin to what they have fitted to the XM. That is mated then to a 145 kilowatt and 280 newton meter electric motor, and that works kind of in series with the transmission to give you that boost when you need it, and also to allow the vehicle to run like it is now with the internal combustion engine switched off. Combined, over 500 kilowatts of power and 1,000 newton meters of torque. Like it's basically a Silverado 2500. Maybe not that much torque, but you get what I mean. Like it is a powerhouse in terms of torque. And it's all mated, by the way, to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So all that stuff sounds fantastic, and it works fine as a daily. Like most of the time, when you switch the car on, it's basically just running in electric mode. And you can kind of just really be on the throttle, and you're not going to switch the internal combustion engine on. It just runs in electric. The issue that I've got though is that I bought an M5. I want to hear a V8. I don't want to hear this fake noise that's getting inducted into the cabin now. I literally bought an M5 so I can hear this. I didn't buy an i5 so that everything was silent and it was quick. I bought an M5. So that bit kind of annoys me. Yes, you can set up your M buttons so that the engine switches on, but each time you get into the car, you've got to activate that. It just seems like a redundant step to take. Why can't I just have engine noise? The second part, though, that I think is probably a little more unacceptable than that is the way that the engine fires up when you do finally need it. And that will happen when you need to kick down on the throttle a bit harder. So I'll do that now. Like you have this weird lag. So you get the electric, you then get a moment where the gearbox has to potentially kick down, and then it has to engage the internal combustion engine and start going. It is just a really unpleasant experience, and it's really, I don't know, I just don't like it, and it's one of the things that really has irritated me with the car. And the issue as well, further to that, is if you have been driving around in electric mode for some time, when it does kick on for the first time on cold start, it revs all the way up past 2000 RPM. So it sits there idling with high revs while it warms up. So there's just a few of those things that I reckon have a few hairs on them, and they could fix by just having it default to switching the engine on. But that, of course, defeats the whole reason this car is the way that it is and is as heavy as it is, which is for emissions laws. Otherwise, I just don't know that they would have bothered fitting any of this stuff to it. All right, so that's all that slightly negative stuff out of the way. What does that mean in terms of fuel economy? So according to BMW, you're averaging under 2 litres per 100 Ks, and it's a bit of a furphy, that, because the combined cycle they use to measure plug-in hybrids takes into account a set distance where you kind of drain part of the battery and then the engine has to kick on. It's not really realistic. The realistic number they do give you, though, is that the fuel economy once the battery is empty is around that 11 litre per 100 mark, which is basically what we're experiencing. So that is all sort of pretty straightforward. So what does all that feel like behind the wheel? Well, if you are just driving in the regular mode, you get plenty of poke there from the hybrid system. And then when it does kick on, like, it gives you a really nice and meaty push in the back, and then you get part of that inducted noise come into the cabin too. So from an acceleration perspective, it is actually all really nicely pieced together. And the ride itself is also surprisingly good too. You picture an M5 and one that certainly weighs about 2.5 tons, and you think, well, this is going to be really unpleasant, but it is on the firmer side, being a sports car, but it is not over the top. They've really just engineered a nice amount of comfort into it so that you feel like you're driving something sporty, but it doesn't feel like it's going to require a visit to the chiropractor after you've done a few Ks in your new car. Now, what does the ride feel like on our sine wave? We do this at 130 Ks an hour. This gives us a good understanding of what the body control is like as the speed picks up if you're going to do a bit of country driving. Typically with these stiffer cars, it's pretty good. So we'll see what this feels like. Yeah, no dramas at all. Okay, bumpy road time. You do this at 90 Ks an hour. Let's see what it's like if you find yourself on a shocker of a road. Do you want to hear something funny? We're testing the GWM Cannon today as well, and this is more comfortable than the GWM Cannon on this road. That is hilarious. There you go. Very nice. Let's talk about visibility. So I can see really clearly down the front there. The head-up display is fantastic, gives you really good coverage. Wing mirrors are nice and big, blind spot monitor, visibility out the back is pretty good. So sort of tick, tick, tick on all that stuff. And then in terms of low speed stuff with parking, you've got a great set of cameras there to make maneuvering this vehicle pretty easy, despite its size, because it is quite large. Now, what about road noise? You are on a sportier tyre, so on coarse chip surfaces, it will project a bit more noise into the cabin. Not the end of the world, but just something to take note of. This is how it went when we put it up against our calibrated sound meter. If you do want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, there is a link in the description below. Now, there are like a litany of customization options here. Like, it is insane what you can do. Basically, drivetrain, the amount of recovery you get from the regen system. I love that you're able to configure that. The drive logic, which is how hard it shifts gears, the chassis, which is how stiff everything is, the steering, the brake pedal feel, whether it has a shorter or further travel, the M drive, because it is standard as a four-wheel drive. You have four-wheel drive sport, which is only accessible in MDM, and we're going to play with this a little bit later on. Two-wheel drive, and then you have the option of switching M sound on and off, and of course then you can configure your M modes as well, which are these buttons on the steering wheel. So there is a stack of sort of stuff you can actually play with there. Okay, so we'll go for a faster drive now. I want to run you just quickly through the M hybrid modes. So dynamic plus dynamic hybrid, electric and e-control. So electric, pretty straightforward, it just runs in electric. E-control allows you to charge the battery. Hybrid is just your standard drive mode, but dynamic plus basically charges the system so that you can get full potential out of the battery. So I'm going to pop this into M1, which I've configured for four-wheel drive sport. All right. Holy moly. Oh, this is fast. All right, we're going to go for a lap of our track here. This is on high alert at the moment. Let's go. This is so good. Oh my goodness, it is so fast. Like, oh man, this is on another planet. It's hard to just fathom how such a heavy vehicle is moving so quickly. And it appears that it holds revs quite high to maybe charge the battery or something. God, these brakes are phenomenal as well. Like, it is giving me so much feedback, and just the way it sits flat through these corners is next level. Like, the perception of the weight of the vehicle vanishes immediately. Here on the backstroke, give it a little punch. Oh my goodness, like, that is that is absolutely hauling ass. Wow. Yeah, look, I mean, you can see that BMW has built this primarily as a car that is just going to be phenomenally quick in a straight line, and a car that is not really about strictly daily driving. Like, this is an absolute animal when you put it into these sport modes. I honestly can't even concentrate properly here. I have to, like, just watch what I'm doing because it is so fast. Oh my God. I just was not expecting it to be like this. This is absolutely unreal. Give it one more punt here. Oh man. And once those tyres are warm, it is. All right, I have to slow down just to gather my thoughts here, because this is just something else. I genuinely came here today, having only driven it on the road and just done sort of basic driving, thinking this thing ain't much chop, and I think they've absolutely ruined it by adding all of this hybrid malarkey to it. Right now, this is one of the fastest cars I've ever driven. Like, it is unbelievably quick. They've somehow made a car that weighs 2.5 tons feel like a 911. And I don't know how they've done it, but they have done it. And it is like, I'm literally sweating here at the moment. So yeah, this is something else. I think with a skilled driver and a big racetrack, this would just demolish some really smaller, faster cars. Like, it's really difficult to explain. The hybrid system in no way detracts from the driving experience here. Like, it is something else. Like, the only downside I can think of really is just the noise. Like, I don't notice anything here inside the cabin. When I had it set up on that M mode, I had M sound off, which is all the fake stuff in here, and I couldn't hear a thing. So I would love to just have a meaty old exhaust on this thing so I actually know what's going on. But that is genuinely the only negative I can find at the moment with how this performs when the speed picks up. Now, I'm going to be quiet so you can have a listen to what this sounds like with a lap of our track here. let's talk about the semi-autonomous functions. So we do this on our bowl here on the 3 outer lanes just to see how well it holds the vehicle in its lanes. So we'll get up to 70. There it is there. So like I said, I've spent a lot of time driving this car now, including a lot of highway driving, and I found this system to be really good. And it does stuff, it may not do it here because we're not on a highway, what it sort of the GPS designates as a highway, but it changes lanes for you as well. So I'll just see if that works. No, it doesn't work here. So yeah, holding itself here in this lane. Let's move over to the next lane. We'll see how it goes up here. All right, there we go. Look at that, dead center, very impressive. All right, jump over to outermost lane. This is the one where each car struggles basically. Look at that, perfect. Wow, very impressive. So it works in all 3 lanes I've been waiting for. Let's see how quick this will go from 0 to 100. We know based on BMW's numbers that this is 3.5 seconds slower than the previous generation of this, but let's see how it goes anyway. We'll go all the way through to 120 just so we can get our overtaking time as well. So here we go. Launch control, brake and throttle. It'll come up saying launch here and on the head-up display, and then we should be ready to rumble. So here we go. Oh, far out. All right, there's 120. Holy moly. It like spins up off the line there. That is, it's funny, even though this is slower than the old one on paper, that felt very brutal and fast, which tells me that it really is only slower because of the weight as opposed to how quickly it's accelerating. So 0 to 100, there you go, 3.49. So pretty much bang on the advertised claim. 80 to 120 now, that's where it's at. Once it's moving, 1.88 seconds. That is stupidly quick. That is stupidly quick, very nice. All right, we're gonna go do a stop from 100 k's an hour just to see how this pulls up. All right, there is 100. Okay. Oh, jeez. My face is like getting pulled off my head. Oh, look at all that flashing red as well. That's cool. Okay, so 100 to 0, 3.12 seconds, 39.56 meters. So not an amazing stopping distance. It should be much closer to that 35 meter mark, but it is probably because of its mass. It is a lot of mass to be lumbering around. Do you want to see how this compares to other cars that we've tested before in terms of those figures? There is a link in the description below. All right, let's see how quick it goes in reverse. Here we go. All right, 37 kilometers an hour. Now, for a bit of fun, I didn't want to destroy the tyres, so we've wet down the skid pan, but I do want to see how well the four-wheel drive sport mode works with stability control on and off. So I'm going to put it into MDM four-wheel drive sport. We'll just see how that feels. Because I'm just curious to see how much slip MDM gives you. Okay, so yeah, look, it sort of lets you have a bit of fun with it, but what you'll notice there is when I turn sort of back in, it's kind of just understeering a little bit. And that's MDM. It's basically designed to give you just a little bit of slip out on the open road, but not sort of anything too crazy. So I'll switch stability control off entirely. Let's just see what that feels like. So this is again in four-wheel drive sport. That's better. So it's letting me use it's letting me use the front wheels to turn and to control it. Let me just try that one more time. Yeah. You see, when I've got the lock on, it comes up saying support from assistance. Okay, so it's basically just coming on and saying, I don't love what you're doing here. So there is a fix for that, and that is to just go to two-wheel drive. Okay, here we go. So let's see how that works instead. So this is just rear-wheel drive now. That's better. Well, we removed the complication of the front axle intervening. You can basically just sit here and do this all day long. This is so good. And you've got 1,000 Newton meters at your disposal here when you're doing this as well, which I think is probably the craziest part to it all. It is so bloody cool. Probably the best part though is that you can still do traditional sort of M5 stuff like like donuts, and then when you grab second, it is just tire smoke city. Oh man, this thing is unreal. Like, I know they have to do all this nonsense with the plug-in hybrid and all that sort of stuff to meet emissions laws, but I love the fact that I can just come in here, go, no, I want two-wheel drive, I'm gonna switch everything off, and I'm gonna have as much fun as I want. And I think that is what makes this the ultimate driving machine. Like, other brands just wouldn't allow you to do any of this stuff. So yeah, like, I absolutely love it. Okie dokie, so plug that guy in. So what do we reckon about the BMW M5? Look, I'll be 100% honest. As I arrived at the gate today, and I was mentioning this before when we went for a drive, as I arrived at the gate, by that point, I thought to myself, look, if this car isn't phenomenal out on the track here, this is going to be one of the biggest fails in BMW M history, because it just really irritated me around town, the way that it drove, and I just wanted it to be noisy. After this, after probably destroying half the tread on the tyres, I mean, this is one of the most ballistic cars I've ever driven. And, you know, you read all the press about how heavy it is, how it's slower than the last generation, but I have not driven a quicker car around here, and despite its mass, it just doesn't feel that heavy behind the wheel, and I just cannot fathom how they've been able to achieve that. It is just something else. It is otherworldly. So should you buy this or a previous generation car? Look, it's a hard thing, because if you're driving this as a daily, it really does annoy me that you can't just have it on all the time. If you're willing to compromise by setting up an M mode for your daily driving so you can hear it and enjoy it, then it kind of fixes that problem. I think they also need to make the exhaust louder. It doesn't sound anywhere near as loud as it is. So hopefully there's like an M Performance exhaust that they will have available or is available now, but that's kind of all that it needs. The rest of the car, the tech, the size of it, the look of it, tick, 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 it is all 100% there. So I'm really curious to see what BMW M is going to do in terms of a competition version or a CS version. In this instance, this is kind of one time where emissions laws and plug-in hybrids and all this sort of emissions controls have actually created what is one of the most epic cars on the road. So anyway, there it is. Some positives, some negatives. Let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Are you going to buy this? Are you going to buy a previous generation? Are you looking at something else altogether? Do you care that it's a plug-in hybrid? You can drive like 60 or 70 Ks with a full battery, and then you can just do what you need to do without having to switch the engine on. Maybe that's what some people want as well. But let me know in the comments section below. What do you think of it? Have you driven it? Let me know your thoughts. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. But until next time, take it easy.